This video is about special right triangles. This is an important topic before you learn trigonometry. Unfortunately, there are a couple of things that you have to have committed to memory, and I've already written those on the right side of the screen. So the way you interpret what I've written is in a 45, 45, 90 triangle. So in a triangle where the angles are 45 degrees, and 90 degrees, the sides in order are x, and x square root 2. So this means that the two legs are the same, which makes sense because 45 degrees and 45 degrees, two angles are the same, so the sides across from them are as well. But the hypotenuse is x multiplied by the square root of 2. So you take either one of the smaller sides, it doesn't matter because they're the same, and you multiply by the square root of 2 to get the hypotenuse. So if you're going from the left to the right, you multiply. If you started with the hypotenuse and you wanted one of the smaller sides, well, you're getting smaller. So you divide by whatever number was introduced here. So we'll see an example of that in a moment. But right now, we have a pretty simple example of a 45, 45, 90 problem. We have one of the smaller sides, we have one of the legs. So this 5 square root 2, this is in the place of one of these x's, one of the smaller sides. Now, don't read anything into the fact that our variables are named x and y. My little diagram on the right is completely separate. So, if one of the legs is 5 square root 2, that means the other leg is also 5 square root 2. And what about the hypotenuse? Well, we have the two legs. If you want the hypotenuse, you multiply by the square root of 2. So we have 5 root 2, and you're multiplying by the square root of 2. So the square root of 2 times the square root of 2 is 2. So this is 5 times 2, which is 10. So x is equal to 10. Now, let's look at a question where we have to go the other way. In this 45, 45, 90 triangle, we were given the hypotenuse. So what we're doing is we're starting with the largest side. We're starting with x square root 2. So to go backwards, I need to divide. So if I have x square root 2 and I want to turn it into x, well, you divide by the square root of 2. So m is 7 divided by the square root of 2. Now in a class where you're using decimals, just type this into a calculator and that'll be fine. In a class where you want exact answers, remember we don't like square roots in the bottom of a fraction, you have to multiply by the square root of 2. And if you do that in the bottom, you have to do that in the top as well. So m is equal to 7 square root of 2 over square root of 2 times square root of 2 is 2. So m is equal to 7 root 2 over 2. And n is the same thing because it's a 45, 45, 90 triangle. The two legs are equal to each other. So that's 45, 45, 90. The more difficult one to deal with is the 30, 60, 90 special right triangles because there's a little bit more that unfortunately you have to memorize. So in a 30, 60, 90 right triangle, we have the small side, x. To get from the small side to the middle side, you multiply by the square root of 3. To get from the small side to the hypotenuse, the largest side, you multiply by 2. So in this question, notice, we're given the smallest side. This is across from the 30-degree angle. So if we want this side v, so we're going from the smallest to the middle, we have to multiply by the square root of 3. So we're going to take this number, as ugly as it is, and we're going to multiply by the square root of 3. So we have 4, the square root of 3 times the square root of 3 is 3. We have this 3 in the bottom, the 3's cancel. So v is equal to 4. Now, what about the hypotenuse? That'd be u, that's across from the 90-degree angle. You start with the small side, and you multiply by 2. So that's not so bad. We're just going to take 4 square root 3 over 3 and multiply that by 2. So you get 8 square root 3 over 3. So that's the simplest case of a 30, 60, 90 special right triangle. So let's see what happens if we're not starting with the smallest side. So in this example, we're starting with the side across from the 60-degree angle. So we're starting here with the middle side. Since everything is based off the letter x, what you always want to do, and if you don't already have it, is find the smallest side first. So I'm not going to worry about the hypotenuse. We're going to find y. So we're going to take the middle side, which is x square root 3, and we have to turn that into x. So the square root of 3 goes away. That means we're dividing by the square root of 3. So to find y, we're going to take the middle side and divide by the square root of 3. So the middle side is just 8. Now that we have, I think I might have just said the middle side, the smallest side is just 8. So now that we have the smallest side, okay, the smallest side is x, we want the largest side, you take the small side and multiply by 2. So x is 16. Okay, that wasn't so bad. Let's see what happens if you start with the hypotenuse. So here we have a triangle, we have the hypotenuse, and we want to find the other two sides. Again, since everything is based off of x, you want to find the small side first. So we want to start by finding y. So since the hypotenuse is 2x, and we have to go back to 1x, you divide by 2. So we're going to take this really ugly number, and we're going to multiply by 2. Or sorry, divide by 2. So it's going to be 10 square root 3 over 3. Now we have the small side, which means we can find the middle. So to go from the smallest side to the middle side, you multiply by the square root of 3. So we're going to take 10 root 3 over 3 and multiply by the square root of 3. So the square root of 3 times the square root of 3 is 3. 3's cancel. And that bottom side, or sorry, the middle side is 10. Anyway, that's a crash course of working with special right triangles. Hope that helped.